The doctor handed the 85-year-old man a jar and said, "Take this home and bring back a sample tomorrow." The next day, the man comes back. Jar still completely empty. Doctor says, "What happened?" The old man replies, "Well, I tried with my right hand. Nothing. Then my left hand. Nothing. So I asked my wife. She tried both hands, then her mouth, teeth in, teeth out, still nothing. Then we called our neighbor Arlene. She gave it a go too. Both hands, an armpit, even tried squeezing it between her knees. Still nothing." Doctor, wide-eyed, "Wait, you asked your neighbor?" Old man, "Yep. None of us could get the jar open." A group of guys were chatting up a pretty blonde and, just messing around, asked her to climb a pole nearby. Surprisingly, she agreed and did it without hesitation. Later that day, she told her mom what happened. Her mom, horrified, said, "Sweetheart, don't you get it? They just wanted to see your underwear." The blonde felt embarrassed for being so naive, but she wasn't about to let them win. The next day, the same guys asked her again. And when she got home, she was glowing with pride. Her mom asked, "What's got you so happy?" And the blonde replied with a smirk, "I totally got them back. Today, I didn't even wear underwear. Droppa if you weren't ready for that twist." The boss's office. Boss, yelling, "Little Johnny, get to my office right now." Little Johnny, "Yes, sir." Boss, "I just saw you arguing with the customer who just left. I've told you time and again that the customer is always right. Do you understand?" Little Johnny, "Yes, sir. The customer is always right." Boss, "Then why were you arguing with him?" Little Johnny, "He called my boss stupid and an idiot, sir." Boss, "That ridiculous man. What did you say to him?" Little Johnny, "I told him he was right." Ah, the sweet irony of truth. In the wild world of customer service, we often overlook how humor can arise from trying to please customers. Little Johnny shows us how to blend honesty with a dash of comedy. For anyone in customer service, this scenario feels all too familiar. It's a reminder that sometimes the best way to handle tough situations is to embrace the chaos and roll with the punches. After all, if a customer thinks your boss is foolish, who are you to argue? The best part? Little Johnny upheld the golden rule of customer service while giving his boss something to ponder. That's a win-win. The birth of your first child is magical, full of joy, emotion, and exhaustion. But for one new dad, it came with something extra, total confusion. Not long after his baby boy was born, the father came running down the hospital hallway, practically hyperventilating. He burst into the delivery room. "Doctor, we've got a problem. My son has red hair." "That's impossible. He can't be mine." The doctor stayed calm. "Relax," she said. "Hair color can skip generations. Even if you and your wife both have black hair, it could have come from an ancestor." The man shook his head. "Nope. Not possible. Both our families have had jet black hair for generations. Nobody has ever had red hair." Now the doctor was getting a little fed up. "Okay," she said, "tell me this, how often do you and your wife, get romantic?" The man looked a little sheepish. Maybe once or twice every few months. Been really busy lately." The doctor started laughing. "Well, there you go," she said. "It's rust." A little old lady in Texas was home one quiet morning when there was a knock at the door. She opened it to find a young man in a suit, smiling way too confidently and holding a high-powered vacuum cleaner. "Good morning, ma'am," he said. "If I could just take 2 minutes of your time, I'd love to show you the very latest in vacuum technology, straight from California." She squinted at him and said, "Go away. I ain't got a dime for anything like that," and started to shut the door. But this guy was fast. He stuck his foot in the doorway and pushed it back open. "Now hold on just a minute," he said. "At least let me show you what this baby can do." And before she could stop him, he dumped an entire bucket of horse manure right on her carpet. "If this vacuum doesn't suck up every last trace of that, I'll personally eat whatever's left, Scout's honor." The old lady took a long look at the mess. then looked him dead in the eye and said, "Hang on while I get you a spoon. They cut off my electricity this morning." On their honeymoon, the new husband told his bride, "I have a confession to make that I should have made before, but I was concerned that it might affect our relationship." "What is it?" his new bride asked lovingly. "I'm a golf fanatic," he said. "I think about golf constantly. I'll be out on the golf course every weekend, every holiday, and every chance I get. If it comes to a choice between your wishes and golf, golf will always win." His new bride pondered this for a moment and said, "I thank you for your honesty. Now, in the same spirit of honesty, I should tell you that I've concealed something about my own past that you should know about. The truth is, I'm a hooker." "No problem," said her husband. "Just widen your stance a little and overlap your grip, and that should clear it right up." Mom suspects her son of sleeping with his roommate. What she does next is perfect. A mom decides to visit her son for dinner, curious about his living situation with a pretty female roommate. Throughout the meal, she can't help but notice their easy rapport, fueling her suspicions about their relationship. As the evening unfolds, her curiosity deepens. Watching their interactions, she wonders if there's more between them than just a platonic roommate arrangement. Sensing her thoughts, her son quickly reassures her, "I know what you must be thinking, but I promise we're just roommates." A week later, his roommate approaches him, looking puzzled. "Ever since your mom visited, I can't find the silver plate. Do you think she might have taken it?" He chuckles, "I doubt it, but I'll check with her." He sits down to write an email. Subject: Missing silver plate. "Dear Mom, after your visit, the silver plate has gone missing. I'm not saying you took it, and I'm not saying you didn't, but the fact is, it's been gone since you were here for dinner. Love, your son." A few days later, he receives a response from his mom. Subject: Missing silver plate. "Dear son, I'm not saying you sleep with your roommate, and I'm not saying you don't. But if she were sleeping in her own bed, I'm pretty sure she would have found the silver plate by now, under her pillow. Love, Mom." Newlywed blonde walks into the doctor's office looking tired and flustered. She says, "Doc, my peach is worn out. I can't catch a break. Shower, dishes, vacuuming, he's always on me." The doctor, trying to stay professional, raises an eyebrow and asks, "Would you like the cure?" Without hesitation, she lifts her dress slightly, points down, and shouts, "You tell him I'm closed for maintenance." An elderly lady was bracing herself at the railing of a cruise ship, clutching her hat tightly as the wind whipped around her. A gentleman approached, his face filled with concern. "Pardon me, madam, but I must tell you, your dress is blowing up in this strong wind," he said politely. "Yes, I'm aware," she replied, her grip still firm on her hat. "I need both hands to hold on to it." "But, madam," the gentleman continued, a hint of urgency in his voice, "you're not wearing anything under your dress, and your privates are exposed." The lady glanced down and then back up at him with a twinkle in her eye. "Sir," she said with a smile, "anything you see down there is 90 years old. I just bought this hat yesterday." A newly ordained priest, nervous about hearing confessions, decides to ask an experienced priest for some guidance. He requests that the older priest observe his session and offer some advice. After listening in on the second confession, the older priest suggests, "Try folding your arms, maybe rub your chin with one hand, and use phrases like, 'I see,' 'I understand,' or 'Yes, my child, go on.'" The young priest takes the advice to heart, and soon afterwards, he shares with the older priest how much it helped him get more details from the congregation. The older priest nods in approval, saying, "Well done." Then, with a smirk, he adds, "Isn't that much better than slapping your knee and shouting, 'No way'?" What happened next? When my teacher asked about my favorite animal, I answered, fried chicken. She didn't think it was funny, but the rest of the class sure did. My parents always said to tell the truth, and I was just being honest. Fried chicken really is my favorite animal. When I told my dad, he chuckled and said my teacher might be a PETA member since they really love animals. Just not the ones I prefer. I like them all, especially chicken, pork, and beef. So, naturally, my teacher sent me to the principal's office. I explained what happened, and he laughed too, then told me to keep it to myself next time. The very next day, she asked what my favorite live animal was. I replied, chicken, and when she asked why, I said, because you can make them into fried chicken. Back to the principal's office I went. He laughed again and gave me the same advice. I'm confused. My parents taught me to be honest, but my teacher doesn't seem to appreciate it. Today, when she asked who my biggest inspiration was, I replied, Colonel Sanders. Guess where I am now? One morning a husband returns to the cabin after several hours of fishing and decides to take a nap. Although not familiar with the lake, the wife decides to take the boat out, since it is such a beautiful day. She motors out a short distance, anchors, and reads her book. Along comes a game warden in his boat. He pulls up alongside the woman and says, Good morning, ma'am, what are you doing? Reading a book, she replies, thinking, Isn't that obvious? You're in a restricted fishing area, he informs her. I'm sorry, officer, but I'm not fishing, I'm reading. Yes, but you have all the equipment. I'll have to write you up a ticket. For reading a book. She replies, You're in a restricted fishing area, he informs her again. But officer, I'm not fishing, I'm reading. Yes, but you have all the equipment. For all I know you could start at any moment. I'll have to write you up a ticket and you'll have to pay a fine. If you do that, I'll have to charge you with assault, says the woman. But I haven't even touched you, says the game warden. That's true, but you have all the equipment. For all I know you could start at any moment. Have a nice day, ma'am, and he immediately departed. A blonde lady had failed the written driving test 4 times. On her 5th attempt, she was determined to pass. However, she encountered the same question. You are driving at 100 miles per hour. On your right is a wall, and on your left is a cliff. On the road, you see an old man and a young man. What will you hit? Frustrated, the woman walked up to the examiner and said, I've answered this question in every way possible. Wall, cliff, old man, and young man, yet I failed all 4 times. How is this possible? What am I supposed to hit? The examiner smiled and replied, The brakes. A little boy is being very bad on the plane until an old man whispers in his ear. As the crowded airliner prepared for takeoff, the calm was shattered by the wild tantrum of a 5-year-old boy. His frustrated, embarrassed mother tried everything to soothe him, but the boy only screamed louder and kicked the seats around him, much to the dismay of the nearby passengers. Suddenly, from the back of the plane, an elderly man dressed in the uniform of an Air Force general slowly walked up the aisle. With a soft, reassuring hand gesture, he stopped the frazzled mother and bent down to whisper something into the boy's ear, motioning toward the decorations on his chest. Almost immediately, the boy stopped crying, gently took his mother's hand, and quietly fastened his seat belt. The entire plane erupted into spontaneous applause. As the general made his way back to his seat, one of the flight attendants, curious and impressed, approached him. "Excuse me, General," she asked, "but what did you say to that little boy?" The general smiled gently and said, "I showed him my pilot's wings, service stars, and battle ribbons, and I told him they gave me the authority to throw one passenger out of the plane on any flight I choose." Male mosquito to his wife, "Darling, I'll hunt a lion just for you." Female mosquito, that's nice. Now go to bed." Male mosquito, "I'll bite an elephant and bring you all his blood." Female mosquito, "Sure, sweetheart. Now get some rest." Male mosquito, "I'll take you for a ride around Paris in a Mercedes." Female mosquito, "Right. Now go to sleep." Male mosquito, "You don't believe me? I'll buy you a 100-gram gold chain." Female mosquito, "You fool, just go to bed already." Male mosquito, "I'll do anything for you, my love." Female mosquito, "How many times have I told you? Stop coming home after biting a politician." Grandma and Grandpa were staying with their kids overnight. Grandpa came across a bottle of pills in the medicine cabinet and asked if he could try one. The son replied, "I wouldn't recommend it, Dad. They're quite strong and pricey." "How much are they?" Grandpa inquired. "$10 per pill," the son said. "That's fine with me," Grandpa said. "I'd like to give it a go." I'll leave the money under the pillow before we head out in the morning." The next morning, the son found $110 under the pillow. He called Grandpa and said, "I told you the pills were $10 each, not $110. "I know," Grandpa chuckled. "The extra $100 is for Grandma."